Well, I'll be real. I was like trying to decide early if I wanted to mention something, but the whole purpose of this channel, I always say, is for me to be honest, to speak up, and just be real. So I've auditioned for 2 of the grad schools. I only applied to 3. I auditioned for 2 thus far, and I officially know that neither of those 2 accepted me. But I remember, I won't go into great detail. I'll save the detail for, the future. But I do remember for one of the schools, I got there and I hadn't auditioned yet, but I was just sitting there and thinking, do I really want to do this? And I kind of felt like, well, I already knew that I was doing this really because I have other friends who are in grad school for acting, and they look like they're really enjoying themselves. And for me, I realized I think I was more interested in getting that college experience and studying the thing that I'm genuinely passionate about, and having a circle of people whom I have common ground with. I was looking for that more so than the purpose of going to grad school for acting, which is to grow into the best actor I can be in the industry. I don't know how else to put it, but you know what I mean. But the fact is you don't have to go to grad school. The plus of going to grad school for acting as an actor is that you have the option, the ability to teach acting. You have the option to be an acting coach, because that MFA means something. So it's sort of like an additional way to make money while you're pursuing acting, but it's also an idiotic thing, as one of my friends, well, the same dude who I said that I'm working on this music with, he said something to me, and even though it kind of crossed my mind before, I never really had someone say it out loud in the way that he did. And he was like, do you really have to go to school for acting? And what was I gonna do? Lie? I was honest. I was like, well, no, not necessarily. He was like, nah, I don't think it's necessary. Why put yourself in debt when you're already good? And you could just take acting classes, take the best acting classes you know of, and just better yourself in that workshop, as opposed to spending $20,000 to $30,000 per year, to get your MFA, and it's like, considering what I just said before all of that about, getting the MFA and being able to be an acting coach or to teach in a college, it's like, that kind of defeats the purpose. You don't necessarily want to teach it, you want to do it. And then you're leaving this MFA program with all this debt, and so you're even worse than before, because now how the heck are you gonna pay for your headshots? How the heck are you gonna pay for your, all this stuff that you need as an actor, And I knew all of this, but I think subconsciously I was feeling a little depressive because of the fact that I don't have as much going on as I used to, There was a time where I was just auditioning and getting called back, back to back to back to back. And at some point that just kind of stopped. And I just sort of felt like I was at this standstill. And I guess I kind of thought that grad school would kind of pull me out of that. I felt like it would make me feel like I'm not wasting my time or my energy. I really realized I really like strayed away, even though I didn't even stray too much. While I realized in that first audition for grad school that day, for one of the grad schools, I began to really realize that I didn't necessarily want to go to grad school. I was just romanticizing about all the other aspects of going to grad school for acting. When I went to the second grad school, I got there, and it's a pretty cool and prominent school for getting your MFA in acting. But I got there and I looked around, And I was like, I don't want to be here. And it wasn't so much about me realizing that I don't want to go to grad school, because the fact is I still would like to go. I still would like to go. What the hell was that? I still do want to go. I still would like to go, but I'm so embarrassed, but I'm leaving this in. I'll say this. The last school that I have to audition for, I would love to get into that specific school. And I would cherish every moment of that experience. Going to that school requires less time and way less money, and really gives me a culture shock that I think I need. So I still have to audition for that school, and that one I'm going to give my all. I'm going to give my all. I feel like the first two schools I auditioned for was more of a don't do this at, this particular audition. I feel like that's what that more was. But yeah, the second school, the other thing about being there was that the energy that I received walking in, it wasn't necessarily negative, but you know how it is when your spirit just doesn't mesh with something else or someone else. And I just knew that was not the place for me. But I was already there and I paid my application fee, so I auditioned. But I can now say, now that I've had time to really reflect and really, not feel some type of way, I can now say, my bad, y'all. I've been recording quite long, and so it just stopped. I think it just started over, actually. I don't know what was the last thing you guys heard, but basically I was saying that I realized I fortunately did not get accepted to those schools. And you know what's interesting? I had heard one particular dude, he was having a conversation with another person that was auditioning. And he said that he auditioned to get into that school. This was his third time auditioning. And I was like, damn. And you've auditioned for other schools and you got accepted to none of them. And I don't mean that, in a sort of snarky way or anything. Like, I just mean, this really means something to people. How terrible would it be if I auditioned and actually just got in to these schools when there were other people who've been dying to get in, I don't know. Because me, it's not like I've thought about grad school much at all. Like, literally, if I'm being real, it's crossed my mind here and there. But, like, the auditions that I had, they were literally on a whim. Like, the application process, it was all due by, like, the ending of December. And I decided, like, midway through December that I'm just going to go ahead and submit this. So I really can't feel any type of way for not being accepted to the first two. If I'm not accepted to the third one, I'm not going to feel any kind of way. But the third one is the one of the three that I really would want to go to, want to be accepted to, and really I would just totally enrich myself in the experience. Yeah. So I think I started talking about this earlier and I didn't finish. So I had this whole moment where I just got depressed. I was so depressed. Like, it was like a 3-day long depression. And I don't know if it had, so I was saying before that I went through 3, 4, 5 days of just eating watermelon, cantaloupe, and greens, and just drinking loads of distilled water. And I began to slowly reintroduce non-vegan stuff into my diet. Like I had gone to IHOP and had some pancakes. You know, I wasn't really introducing meat into my diet. Or really any dairy per se, like no milk or cheese, things like that, the things that can really affect my singing voice. But at some point I did have a piece of beef. Like I saw that there was some beef that was cooked. I think it was some stew beef, Jamaican household. And I had a piece. And I'm wondering, it's like I almost feel as if reintroducing the meat into my system just threw me for a loop, you know? But it's so interesting because I've really been trying to figure out this whole thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I don't know if, like, I pay attention because I am really genuinely interested in this whole vegan lifestyle. I noticed that on YouTube, at least, there is this great deal of vegans, people who have been vegans for years, who suddenly came off their vegan high horse. Because I understand there's a lot that goes on behind the vegan lifestyle that vegans don't usually talk about. And that has to, and there are a lot of vegans who are just super depressed, who have health issues, well, more dietary issues that haunt them, but they don't really speak on it because, you know, how is it that, how will it look after you've gone through this whole process of telling people, you know, living on a plant-based diet, you know, is the best thing because it just completely changes your health and makes you completely healthy and makes your skin glow and does this and does that. But then we have these vegans who secretly behind the scenes, you know, they're having these stomach issues that they can't explain. But I kind of get it because whilst, you know, I wasn't yet eating any meat or having any kind of like really solid food, I experienced the emptiness, and it wasn't like an emptiness in my stomach. It was more like maybe like at the top of my stomach, and it just always felt like there was space there, like gas but not gas. Like I always felt like I had to belch, and I had to go through this whole process of really putting my whole body into it because I had to get this air out, and then when I belch it was this sort of like that like that sort of vibe, you know. And I was just thinking like, yo, this has only been me reintroducing plant-based foods to myself after a water fast. If this is how I've been feeling just on these days, you know, I can only imagine what, you know, these particular vegans were feeling on a daily basis, you know. But at the same time, what I'm realizing is a lot of these vegans, the ones that are really having issues, they went vegan because they had health issues that they were trying to fix. Like Vegetable Police, you know, who I mentioned during the fast, he's one who left the vegan lifestyle and went, what's that diet called? Carnivore or whatever, where you basically eat raw meats and such. Vegan or not, that's just disgusting. I don't know why you do that to yourself, but he originally went vegan because he had some issues with his colon. There's another dude who I follow on Instagram. I think his name is like something to the effect of the Juice, Johnny Juice, something to that effect. But he had like stomach issues. Like he always had, he used to have these severe stomach issues and great migraines and stuff, and he finally decided, let me try completely switching up my diet, and he went completely raw vegan, and he does a lot of juices and whatnot, and it's been, I think, like 5 years, and he's no longer had any stomach issues, no longer experienced the migraines and things like that, you know. But he says that he's fine. Now, the truth is, as entertained as I am by him, because he's one of my inspirations in respect to the whole vegan consideration on my part, because he does look great. You know, he shows before pictures where he was much heavier, and he's obviously slimmed down tremendously and what have you, but at the same time he does, you know, have those dark circles around his eyes, you know. And there are a lot of vegans that will have that look, that deprived look, that emaciated look and whatnot. He kind of has that, but he has a certain level of glow. But then there are other vegans like I think his name is like Dominic or something like that. He has the whole eat what elephants eat business. Excuse me. He's the exact opposite. He's a raw vegan himself, but he goes to the gym hardcore, and his reason for going vegan was his love of animals. And I sometimes wonder if your reasoning for becoming a vegan makes a difference, you know? Because I do realize that the people who go vegan because they love animals, they're not necessarily falling apart, you know? And I wonder if maybe if you change your diet and if you fall upon a plant-based diet for the sake of bettering your health, if maybe you should, after you've developed, you know, a healthier system and whatnot, maybe you should consider not coming off the vegan diet, but not being so obsessed with what choices in fruits and vegetables you eat, you know, because there are the vegans, the raw vegans who, you know, as long as the food is organic and seeded and they're not allergic, they just eat. And those are the ones that look genuinely happy and content and healthy, you know. And those are the ones that also work out. So the vegans who do look emaciated, they don't work out. Like, I mean, Johnny Juice, he works out, but he doesn't work out in the manner that them other dudes work out. They look, you know, like they look like they eat meat, but they obviously don't, because they also have, you know, impeccable skin. You know, when they post their before and afters, they actually look like they've reverted in age. You know, when they put, you know, they're like that dude Dominique or whatever his name is, when he puts up his picture of him when he was 25, he looks like he's 40, and now he just turned 40